Wow, it's been a minute. If you're new here, hi, my name is Taz, and on this corner of the internet, we talk about all of the books that I'm loving, the books that I'm currently reading, and just general living in Boston life things. If you're not new here, I'm pretty sure my name is still Taz. The last few months in which I stopped uploading to YouTube have been really hectic. The months of April to June were some of the busiest I've ever experienced in the last several years. Just everything going on with work and stuff, and while things have significantly slowed down for me in terms of intensity, I'm still pretty busy. But I recently fell down a rabbit hole of just binging a bunch of booktube content, especially because of the mid-year freakout tag that everyone has just been posting, and I miss it. I miss this booktube community. So I figured that I would just dip my toes back into the waters of booktube and vlogging and just doing really cozy things that make me happy, because my life has felt like a dumpster fire the last few months, and I am in need of a really, really good reset. It is currently Friday, July 21st, and we're about halfway through the day. I spent my morning, I'm working from home today, and I just kind of spent my morning, you know, catching up on like some admin stuff at work. Thankfully, it's been pretty slow, so I was also able to do 2 loads of dishes. I still need to do laundry, and I've just been in this constant process of cleaning my apartment for the last few weeks, and it just feels like it's never ending. So the plan is to just sort of continue that into the weekend, while also really still focusing on some self-care and being cozy and reading some really good books. Speaking of books, I think I still will do a mid-year freakout tag because I love the mid-year freakout tag. I did it a couple years ago, and I'm just a sucker for a really good book tag. So I'm probably going to film that this weekend as well. But yeah, the focus of this weekend is definitely to be cozy and self-care. The plans for the rest of today are pretty simple. I have to pick Mazda up from the vet at some point this afternoon. She is in at the vet just for a little dental procedure, but since cats' little bodies are so small, they do have to go under anesthesia when they get their teeth cleaned, and there is also the potential, because her teeth have been really bad as of lately, she might need to get a fang pulled. I will also be going to go see Barbie with my friend Katie, and I'm really excited. I fell down a little hobby rabbit hole, and I decided to make a bunch of friendship bracelets for the Barbie movie. So I have one that says "Hi Barbie," and then another one like for the other wrist that says "Hi Ken," and then this is the one that I'm going to be giving to Katie. It just says "I'm a Barbie girl," and it's got like pink beading, so I hope she likes it. But after Barbie, there's really no other plans. I'm probably going to come home, tidy up a little bit, and settle in to read. So I'm going to go scrounge my closet for something pink to wear to Barbie, and I'll see you in a bit.
Baby, you losing?
Hi, welcome to Saturday. I had a bit of an early morning today because of Mazda's surgery yesterday, her dental procedure. Just wanted to make sure that she was doing okay, keep an eye on her and stuff. So I also didn't sleep that well because I was kind of worried. But she's doing fine. She's just really spacey still from the pain meds that the vet gave her. And she's just kind of hanging out under chairs and stuff because I think that just makes her feel safe because she is still quite very loopy. I just got back from the gym and the grocery store, made myself a quick little smoothie to get something in my system because I have not eaten lunch today. This smoothie is literally my go-to. It is a chocolate cherry almond smoothie and it's literally just frozen cherries and some almond butter and chocolate protein, and I like it a little extra chocolatey, so I'll add some cocoa powder, and it is just divine, so good. I also realized that I haven't really done a reading update. I'm currently reading 2 books. The first one I don't have with me, it is in another room, but that book is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which is Brandon Sanderson's latest Kickstarter book. I think as part of the Kickstarter, there were 4 secret projects, aka novels. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is number 3. I will be the first to admit I like Brandon Sanderson's work. I'm not the biggest fan. I have not read Way of Kings. I haven't even read Mistborn, but I read the Reckoners trilogy and Starsight. I also read Warbreaker, so I've read a few of his like other standalones in the Cosmere universe, and I really do like his writing. But my partner is a really big fan, and so he got the Kickstarter. I just saw both Tress of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, so I was just like, maybe I start reintroducing myself to Brandon Sanderson's work with these 2 really gorgeous books. So I'm only a few chapters into Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. But the other book that I'm currently reading is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is a buddy read with my friends Kat and Blair. And as you can see, I'm pretty far into it. On page 305, I just read the NPC chapter and I am currently really wrecked. I'm going to save my impressions of the book for later, but I'm really impressed with Gabrielle Zevin's writing. I had put this book off for so long. It's just been staring on me, sitting on my shelves, because I was kind of afraid of the hype for it, because it really did seem that everyone who was reading it was giving it rave reviews, and it was one of those situations where I was like, this hype might not be worth the book. And I'm really glad to say that so far that is not the case. It is absolutely worth all the hype. It's one of those books that I both want to consume as quickly as I can, but also devour it really slowly and savor the reading of it. I'm loving the characters. Sam, Sadie, and Marks are so dear to me. I also really love the author's ability to set the scene in the book. Part of the book is written in Cambridge, Massachusetts, because Sadie went to MIT and Sam went to Harvard, and because of that there's a lot of descriptions of like Harvard Square and Kendall and like the surrounding Cambridge areas. And for someone who is a Boston resident, for someone who goes to Cambridge very frequently, it was really quite palpable. It felt like I was also walking the streets of Cambridge with these characters, and I really also loved the care for the historical aspect of Cambridge, because like in the 70s or 80s, something like that, there were literally bookstores every single block in Harvard Square, and that was mentioned in the book, and I really loved that. I can't speak to the LA portion of the book because I've only ever visited LA, but I would imagine that residents of LA feel very similar to how I felt reading about the Cambridge portion. Anyway, that's a really long-winded way of saying that I'm really enjoying this book. The plans for the rest of today are to kind of just hang out with Maz and Beppo. I don't think I've introduced Beppo on this channel yet, so I'll also introduce you to Beppo. She is my little 3-month-old kitten. I got her in May, and she is so different in personality from Mazda. It is literally so funny to watch. Because of Mazda's dental procedure yesterday, I just want to spend some extra good time with her. So I'm going to hang out with her, finish reading this book, possibly restart Yumi and the Nightmare Painter because I'm definitely going to be finishing this up tonight. But I also kind of want to crochet. I came across this free pattern on Instagram where this one creator, and I'll link her down below because her name is escaping me from off the top of my head, but she does these really cool crochet recreations of like artwork. And as you can see, there is the hokusai painting on the cover of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I thought it might be kind of cute to crochet like a little hokusai like bag charm for Kat and Blair. So we'll see if I get to it. It's a grid pattern, which I've never crocheted a grid pattern before, so I feel like I'm picking a pretty difficult place to start, but we'll see where the night takes me. I'm also gonna pull together dinner before I sit down to read. I'm just gonna do a little charcuterie board. I have some cheeses that a coworker brought me from the Netherlands, and they look so, so good. One is like a jalapeno cheese, one is a habanero cheese, and I'm just going to pull together some bread, maybe some tinned fish, a little bean salad, and just mishmash it all together, and that's my girl dinner for today. A wreck, and I have only 10 pages left of this book.
It's my meal. I call this girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner. Oh, girl dinner.
So I got a really big cut of salmon this weekend, and I thought it'd be fun to make salmon jerky because when I was at Wegmans recently, I really randomly bought some salmon jerky and I really liked it, but it was a really expensive way to get it. And I eat salmon pretty often, so we're trying it out.
As much as I would like to have a bare minimum Monday today, I do need to balance productivity. There's a few things that I need to knock out at work, so I'm probably going to go into the office for those. But when I get back home today, the only thing that's really on the agenda is do some plant chores, water some plants, restake my monstera because it is so big now and it is overwhelming, so it's gotta go vertical. I started a new crochet project last night because I did finish the little Great Wave by Hokusai. I had originally planned on it being like a bag charm, but I think it's gonna just have to end up being a coaster. It's not perfect, it's my first one, but I do think I will make 2 more and give one to Kat and give one to Blair. But I started a cardigan last night, and it'll be the first cardigan that I've ever made. I've been crocheting since I was 11, and I've made countless coasters, I've made countless hats and scarves and little tiny plushy figures, but I've never made like an article of clothing. Obviously, like hats and scarves you can wear, but they're accessories, they're not like clothes. Mazda's doing okay. She's got a couple more days on her painkillers, but she is rubbing up on things with her jaw and kind of like scratching her jaw. So she seems to be doing okay. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up a couple emails and then head into the office, and I will see you after work. a bad couple of mental health days, and so the rest of the week was just kind of maintenance, right? Doing the things that I needed to do to still be a person, albeit a shell of a person, and also trying to keep it together enough for the different work responsibilities and other responsibilities that I have in my life. I think I'm feeling a little bit better today. I had this work thing that I was asked to go to, and it was kind of strange, actually. I was asked to speak to a group of students doing a Model UN program today, and it was strange for me. I don't usually get super nervous speaking in public. Speaking engagements are a part of the job description, but something about talking to kids sort of threw me off balance because I don't know. I just think that not so long ago I was one of these students. I think to sort of bring this back and contextualize it, but I do work in international affairs. There's a specific discipline, subdiscipline of diplomacy called science diplomacy and tech diplomacy, and that is a discipline that I work in, and I'm happy to sort of talk about it more in depth maybe in a different video because it is quite a really interesting facet of international affairs. Tech diplomacy really only started getting much more mainstream in 2017, and that was sort of marked by the appointment of the, I think, Danish ambassador, specifically a tech ambassador in Silicon Valley, but that's like so off topic for today. But I do work in tech diplomacy, and I was asked as part of this presentation to these Model UN students to basically talk about my work and what it is I do and things like that. And what I do is interesting. I'm the first to admit that what I do is quite interesting, especially because I don't have one specific thing that I work on in my day-to-day. I like to say that I'm a generalist, and I work across so many different disciplines. My lighting kind of changed because my plant lights switched off, so I had to get a ring light. So that's why there's a difference in lighting right now. But I think I was saying something about talking to these kids and how speaking engagements are a part of my job, and it's not that I ever really get super nervous for speaking engagements that much anymore. Talking to kids was a little bit different, however. Kids will be kids, and so the structure of my presentation sort of fell to the wayside, but not in a way that I particularly minded. My whole motivation in sort of accepting the speaking engagement for these Model UN students was really because I remember what it was like to be young and so full of excitement for going into international affairs. So of course, if I had had the opportunity to hear from someone that worked in the field, I would have really appreciated that. So I hope my presentation, you know, was helpful for them or sparked some interest in something that they might not have encountered before. But I think beyond that, I just felt so strange because I'd recently talked to someone that I know in the bookish community, and they have studied international affairs as well. So when we found out that we share this career field, we had had a conversation, and they were really quite excited and interested in the things that I do and what I had to say. And y'all, the imposter syndrome is so real. I don't know whether it's burnout or whether it's the fact that I've been doing a lot of reflecting on my career and being a woman of color in this space and how exhausting it can be, because not only do I have the double down effect of the old boys club in diplomacy, but also the tech bros that come with working alongside technology industries. It can just get pretty exhausting and almost debilitating when you walk into a room and you're not only the only woman in the room, but you're also the only person of color. It also really was strange for me today because at the end of my presentation, as I was getting ready to leave, a couple students walked up with some questions that we weren't able to get to within the Q&A, and at the end of it, this one girl goes, "You're so smart," in sort of this tremulous way that I really recall saying in a similar tone to folks that I looked up to and admired when I was their age, when I was in high school, when I was in college. And y'all, I am a small-time diplomat who doesn't even work in the State Department, and y'all, it was so strange for me. My birthday is also next week and I turn 29, and I've never been afraid of aging or anything like that. In fact, I have always been one of those people that think that it is such a privilege to be able to age, but I have a slew of mental health things that I've been dealing with since I was a child, and part of the jarring realization that I turn 29 next year was this realization that I've always punted the can down the line further and further along with my mental health by telling myself things will get better when you're older, and I'm almost 30. And sometimes it really feels like that things have not gotten better. I don't know, also when I got this jaded and realizing that I am this jaded was hard for me. But yeah, those are just things that I've been grappling with this week, so no wonder it's been kind of a bad mental health week. I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. And before I go, I will leave you with a little reading update of what I'm currently reading. We will talk about tomorrow. But right now I'm still reading Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. It's been a little difficult to get to because it is a leather-bound copy, so it doesn't travel well. But I'm also listening to Silver Under Nightfall by chupeco, and it is a really interesting story. I basically went into it knowing only 5 things about it, and those 5 things are polyamorous, vampires, and vampire hunter. It's good so far. I'm only 6 chapters into it though. I'm listening to it on Libby, so I definitely want to get through the book before my loan is up. But on that note, good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm feeling so much better than I did last night. So I think to finally wrap up this reading vlog, I'm finally going to give my mini review on Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So in case you live under a rock or just have somehow had this book fly under your radar, Tomorrow follows Sam Mazur and Sadie Green, 2 individuals who used to be really good friends growing up, but life and circumstances made them sort of fall out of touch with each other. But they both end up going to college in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Sadie at MIT and Sam at Harvard. And when they kind of run into each other in the very beginning of the book, Sam gets this idea because, you know, they grew up playing video games together. Maybe we should make a game together. He really wanted to make a game with Sadie. What follows after that is 30 years of the ups and downs of their friendship, from Cambridge to Venice Beach, California, the in-life world and the virtual worlds that they create together. Now listen, you could be thinking, hey, I don't actually play a lot of video games. Maybe I won't enjoy this book, but basically everyone that I know who doesn't play video games, and I myself am a very casual video game player. I really like the cozy video game genre, so not what a lot of gamers would consider real games, which I think that is a stupid perspective to have and a different conversation in and of itself. But I do play a lot of the softer games that are a little bit more immersive, not quite RPG or anything like that. But I think that since the story revolves so much around their interpersonal relationships, anyone could like it. Without getting too spoilery, but I really think that the heart of this book is the immense roller coaster of human experiences that you get reading it. Sam and Sadie and their friend Marks, who is also a very major character, although secondary to those 2 in the book, they are not perfect, and their relationship with each other over the years is very toxic at some times. But what you get especially with Sam and Sadie at the end, is this very pure sort of platonic love that I feel like most people only reserve for their siblings or other people in their family. And it was really refreshing to see a friendship play out in that platonic way when there's so many people in the world that are telling us that boys and girls can't be friends. I think also the NPC chapter, which I think I very briefly alluded to it a few days ago when I was talking about the book, but that chapter was some of the best writing and the most heart-wrenching writing I have read in a very long time. It is one of those chapters that I think fans of the book have also, you know, really warned new readers about. And I can tell you right now, despite knowing that there was some sort of heightened, charged emotion going into that chapter, I was not prepared for it. And it was both beautiful and haunting, and it's a chapter that I actually read twice. I read the first chapter of the next page, and then immediately went back to the beginning to read it again because it was just that hauntingly poetic and beautiful. And I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it, but it was just such an experimentative piece of writing as well, in terms of the point of view that the author decided to write in for that chapter. And seriously, no notes from me. It was done exquisitely well. I think also Gabrielle Zevin writing about disability and having that sort of representation in the book, especially reflected back in the time periods that Sam, Sadie, and Marks are entrenched in, was fantastic. I'm not physically disabled myself. I can't speak to the quality of the representation for it, but I feel like the way she wrote about Sam's frustrations really resonated with me in other ways. And because of that, I was able to really understand his motivations and his frustrations and desire to not really think about his disability as a defining characteristic of who he is. It's just merely a facet of who he is. This book to me was a reminder that life is not easy and it's okay to experience the full range of human emotions, from sadness to isolation to anger and frustration, and still carry love at the heart of all of that. There were so many other themes that were also explored in this book in terms of being creative and working creatively and what that means to you as a person. There's also themes of obviously technology because they create video games. And side note, for me, this was really interesting because in the work that I've done, I've worked really adjacent to the gaming industry, not in my current job, but in my former role, I worked with the gaming industry, and it was really cool to get more of a glimpse of what it's like under the hood. Whereas I feel like the perspective that I had on the gaming industry came from being a consumer and working adjacent to it. Also, there were themes that the book touched upon that were grief, of course, love, race, identity, and also failures, and what it means to pick yourself up after a failure. I cannot recommend this book enough. I know that this is not a book for everyone either. There are a lot of people that I know from all corners of the internet that do not like how toxic, quote unquote, Sam and Sadie can be, but in my opinion, humans are not perfect and we all will have moments of toxicity. And this book really, I think, encapsulated that, but also showed how you can reconcile with the other person if that person is still someone that means enough to you that you want to keep them in your life. I love Sam, Sadie, and Marks, and I know that they are characters that will be with me for a very, very long time. And I say this very tongue-in-cheek, but I am resentful of the fact that I will never again read this book for the first time. But I am looking forward to a reread of it. That's it. That's all that I have for this reading vlog. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I will definitely try to be a lot more consistent with my uploads. This last half of the year, it's not even a half of the year. It's like only a few more months. Gosh, where did the year go? But I am going to upload a belated mid-year freakout tag, and Kat tagged me in a pretty books tag earlier this spring, so I will definitely be getting to that as well, because I have a lot of really pretty books that I would love to showcase, because like most of us in the bookish community, I too am a sucker for really pretty books. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're reading really good books and taking care of yourselves, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.